viewers beware. We are watching, obviously, a very, very intense birthing scene.
Yeah.
She's in labor. You screwed up. Why is it happening so early?
What on earth?
It's an empty pool.
Probably
Maybe
for
to
cleanliness.
contain the mess.
Whoa, there's a gun, bro. Type of, you know, like
Abduction.
either domestic abuse, abduction, rape, that's turned into pregnancy. And, you know, this guy is holding a midwife or a woman at gunpoint to deliver this baby properly, in which she was like stuck in another room. But what's crazy is that like the second that like all of this started getting crazy and he was like holding a gun up against someone's head and they were saying it's too early to push and things like that, it really threw me into a lot of hospital births that I've been to.
Well,
like stressful situations, traumatic, stressful births where everyone is screaming at the birthing person to, you know, is like, is just like that.
whoa.
It's just like that.
That's so
like
heavy.
That.
Whoa. We're working on some new content that's coming out. You guys, I think, have seen it. It's about obstetric power and control, and about how it creates obstetric trauma, and it's violence, obstetric violence. And yeah, one of the things that we talk about is holding the birthing person or the baby hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very interesting kind of word to play with, right? Because when we think of hostage, we think of this exact scenario. Mm-hmm. But how many people do you know? I could probably name at least 30 or 40 actual people that I know who have had their baby admitted into a NICU or a special care nursery and can't get their baby out.
Unless they jump through the hoops.
No, they can't. They can't. And I'm not talking about like deathly sick babies that crazy people are trying to like, I'm talking about like screaming, crying, 8-9 pound babies who were born at home, brought in for a special observation of something, appear and look fine, tests are fine, everyone's saying they're fine, and they can't leave. That's being held hostage. Maybe there's not a gun, but it's the same kind of scenario. And that's really shocking. That's so interesting, Leila, that you brought that up. Ooh. Ooh. I guess the baby pool is to contain the mess, maybe?
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Leila.
Maybe not super comfortable.
I was just thinking like, that is like mastery right there. Like Chuck's pads, plastic pool.
When you're done.
Oh, God. Oh, you're ready to push. Go to land. It's a girl.
I have been totally screamed at like that at a birth before by a dad.
What?
And by a grandma.
Yeah, abuelas. Yeah.
You know, I talk about this in class, and I talk about this with clients when I try to like help them prepare for birth, but like how we are born impacts everything, and it's remembered on a cellular level. And when you're back in that scenario, parents, grandparents, toddlers, birth workers are reactivated. So they're experiencing emotions that don't have anything to do with that exact scenario. They're experiencing it from previous births. And I don't know anything about this clip, you know, like whatever, it's out of context from some random show. But when papas disassociate or get violent or angry or experiencing extreme stress, they're actually experiencing their own births. And that is kind of crazy to think about, but we know, like intuitively, we know that's what's happening. And now we have all kinds of evidence. In fact, we have a new e-course on this
coming up.
topic. We do. It's so exciting. I'm not the teacher. It's amazing teachers, but that's coming up on exactly this issue on like how to heal your own trauma, so you don't pass it on to others when you're a birth worker. But how intense, man. One time I actually had to have a grandmother removed by police from my birth center. I know. It's like such a crazy story. And like anyone who like knows me is so not like, I cannot believe I did that, you know? Like I can get along with anyone, but so violent and so hostile and so out of control that not only was she impacting the way that we were able to provide care, but she was impacting the future potential success of her daughter's birth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, her daughter was then so stressed, so freaking out that I was like, this is not going to work. This can't work. She can't be here. So I had a moment. I don't know, something happened. And so there was a moment where I could talk to the birthing person. I was like, is it okay that your mom's here and freaking out like this? And she was like, no. And I was like, I'm going to take your mom out of here, okay? And she's like, okay. She was obviously had been abused and talked to like this her whole life, which is why she couldn't advocate for herself in that labor moment. But she pushed for 6.5 hours, which is not common, but was absolutely about holding that baby back until she felt safe enough to birth.
Yeah.
Because her baby was born like within, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes after the mom left.
Oh,
So stressful.
yeah.
I've also had a dad have a gun. I went in to do a postpartum check at like 4 or 5 in the morning in the birth center. And the dad was sleeping on the side closest to the door. And so the baby was between them. And so I just sort of innocently leaned across the sleeping dad and put my stethoscope on the sleeping baby just to listen to the baby, not disturb them and check out, because I just want to make sure that the vitals are normal for their middle of the night check, you know. The dad in one smooth motion pulled a pistol out from under his pillow that he's sleeping on. And I was like, you're at a birth center?
There's no need
He's
for
like, I got to protect myself and my family. I was like, oh, wow, right. So after that, we made a policy. You may not bring concealed weapons.
You have to disclose them or something. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was at a birth one time where he was a sheriff, and so they carry all the time. And we got to the birth center, and he like took out his gun and laid it on the bedside table, and it was like,
that's not going to work.
Somewhere else, you know, like
that's where the resuscitation equipment goes. You're going to need to do that a lot.
Somewhere else.
You don't need that process.
I mean, like, and I can, in this clip, right, we're seeing a very hostile situation.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah, totally different.
I mean, that situation can happen even in other times, right? You've mentioned I've had mothers slap their daughters during labor, like backhanded them, probably thinking it was the right thing to do, like, get yourself together, we don't cry in labor, you know, or
I've seen that.
Yeah, you know,
or crying themselves, like hysterical, where they needed the midwifing.
Totally.
Yeah, birth is so intense. And I think this is more to the midwives that watch us, but I would say this is why I have a rule, like, you do not proselytize midwifery. Like, we do not sell home birth at all. Birthing out of the hospital, birthing in a community setting has to be something you know that you want with all of your being, and that all the people that are going to come with you to that birth also want. It's like not something we can actually advertise. Like, you should advertise to your ideal customer. You should advertise to those people. But if someone comes in and is like, I'm not really sure, like, it's not your job to convince them at all. And if you do, you get people that really should not be at home. And this is no judgment of people that don't want to be at home. Like, birth wherever you feel safest. That is my bottom line forever goal. Birth wherever you feel safest. But I think it's particularly confusing for midwives who get those calls like, oh, I'm really interested, or I really don't want this. Those are usually the call. Like, I really don't want another cesarean. I really don't want to be induced. I really don't want my baby in the NICU, or like whatever they're experiencing. It's really hard not to say, I have the answer. Let me help you. Come with me. I have the answer. That's the very worst thing that we could do, because you don't have the answer for them. All you have is the answer that you've seen work for other people. And instead we have to help them find their pathway, which might include birthing with a doula in the hospital, birthing in a different hospital, birthing in a birth center. There's like a million different solutions. We cannot be solution oriented though. We have to be we have to be solution oriented. Sorry. We have to be process oriented, not outcome focused, right? So the solution for each person is going to be different, but it has to be about their process, not the outcome. Like, we're not having home births, right? We're having births that evolve based on the very best choices that each person can make for themselves. I think that's the big difference.
Yeah, and the people who are attending that birth are in the same mindset.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So going back to the mother or the mother-in-law or the partner, right? Like, it's, I hate to say it, but it's not enough that the birthing person wants a home birth.
No,
If
they both
the partner feels this is unsafe.
They
Or
both need
the
it. That is
auntie
like-
who's
that is-
attending the birth.
the auntie just can be uninvited, but the partner has to be on the same page.
Well,
And
anyone
this is a
who's there
lawsuit.
has to want what this person wants, or else
Right.
it's
But
gonna
they
be
can be
punted.
uninvited. They
Right.
can be uninvited, right? What can't happen is the partner being on a different page. Like, I actually flat out will decline to serve someone when their partner is not on the same page.
Yes.
Because
I
it's
know
a
many,
lawsuit.
yeah,
It's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
I know many midwives who will essentially say, like, if I get a sniff that someone at the birth thinks you should transfer, we're transferring.
Here we go. Absolutely.
Because I'm not going to be on the other end where I told you so. I was feeling
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And-
Even if everything is medically fine, it's not going to be psychologically fine.
Mhm.
Absolutely. 100%.
Invite the
And
right
I tell
people
them
to
ahead
your
of time.
birth.
Exactly. I tell them ahead of time. I say, if anyone in your birth space says that you should go to the hospital, we're going to take you. So that's on you. Pick the right people.
Pick the right people.
Pick the right people. Yeah. No, it's very interesting. And of course, the clip we watched is not a planned home birth, I don't think. I mean, maybe it's planned, but not probably by choice.
Planned not. Yeah.